Hi, everyone. This is Jose Palomino, your host again for Business Growth on Purpose. And our guest today is Slava Podmurnyi, and Slava is the CEO of a company called Visartech. And this is a company that focuses on some cutting edge technology, making custom software options available to a wide range of businesses, but using some of the latest technologies in terms of making the experience very different for end users. Now, this is relevant because software and custom software development is something that every company has to think about. Now, if you're very small, you might do everything off the shelf, but as you start growing, you realize you may need some things that are a little bit different. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that business, but also we're going to talk to Slava about his entrepreneurial journey and how he's built this international company with an international workforce dealing with international customers. So interesting. Listen closely as Slava joins us right now. Well, welcome, Slava, to Business Growth on Purpose.
Hello, Jose. Nice to meet you, and thanks for the invitation. It's really interesting to share my knowledge and experience with the audience.
Oh, absolutely. We look forward to that. So just to set the context for our listeners, what do you do and who do you do it for?
So I run like a small size company. We do custom software development on a purpose, generally speaking. We try to concentrate, like on the complex applications with solid backends, and but also we like front ends because initially we have started as a game development company, and okay. We like user experience, we like 3D, and we know how to do it.
Wow. So that's a question. It's interesting because anybody who's in business who is thinking, I need something that does, let's say, project management, or I need an advanced CRM for distribution, whatever it is. I need modeling for 3D modeling. There's an assumption that there's an app for that, right? That you could just find something on some library, you could look it up on Google, and it might be 5 competitors, and you kind of benchmark all 5, and then you pick a platform, right? So there's so much standardized platforms, yet you do a lot of custom work. So my question to you is, in today, 2022, how much opportunity or how much need is there still for custom software?
Actually, there's a huge need. Like we receive, like every month, we receive like 10, maybe to 20 requests from different companies, from like small startups to enterprise companies. The thing that, like the biggest thing here is that any business is unique. Yes, there's no like linear way to make a business, definitely. So every business, they're trying to find a way to implement their like custom demands and build own software to somehow catch the audience, I believe, and users.
So just looking for something off the shelf isn't always going to do the job, right? But you mentioned something that's very interesting. You mentioned you also work with smaller companies as well. So this is not just the world of big enterprises doing custom software. You're saying even small companies can take advantage of custom software, the opportunities of working with firms like yours. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say like extremely small, because there are definitely startups, people who are raising funds and like building applications. But if you're like tiny company, probably it's better to find something out of the shelf, because you just won't have enough resources to build like something custom. But if once you are growing, you'll definitely find the purpose, the requirements that you need to build something not so typical. Yes, because you have not typical business processes.
Okay. So. Well, I broke into business as a developer a long time ago with tools that would be like crayons for you. I mean, they would just look like kids' toys, but everything was very much data driven, like text data driven, right? Mm-hmm. So today, of course, software is much more elaborate, much more. I mean, there's still your classic CRM screens of data and information and so on. But what do you find right now is like the interesting trends in software for business? What's happening in the way, either interface or something interesting happening on the back end? What's making software interesting today and into the future for businesses?
Yeah, there are definitely like two ways. Like one is like the back end. Yes, there are a huge trend about data protection, data sharing. You know how data exchanged, and like we all heard like a lot of scandals connected to Zoom, for example. Yeah, like with data leaks and some privacy problems. So people really like invest there. So it's like a huge trend out there. Talking about the front end side, yes, like what actual users see. I would say it's more about immersivity right now and the gamification. Again, it's closer to immersivity again. The thing like people want to perceive more information, and as you can see, like websites are more picturesque now, more interactive, and people want to see like some objects in 3D, because when you see something in 3D, you can see it from different angles. Even on Amazon, yes, you can see the goods, videos. There are 3D representations. Also, like a huge trend, as I mentioned, the gamification. People want to play. I believe like the generation which is like grew up on those like games as education now is mature enough or maturing, and they want more and more gamify. They want to to play even complicated engineering software. They want more interactive interfaces, more gamified experiences for them.
Is that actually from is like, and I'm just curious, is the brain science that's a better way to learn stuff because you're engaged with it, maybe emotionally? I'm just curious.
I personally believe that yes, because in my experience, I always try to entertain myself, because it's so boring just to study. I remember my math classes. I'm also like, I have master's degree in computer science, so a lot of numbers and a lot of things, and it was so boring sometimes because you don't know the purpose why you're just solving the relations. What's the reason? You just do it because you need to feel an answer. That's it. And it is much better when you understand why you do it, or you will see it visually. Yes, the result of your calculation. So,
well, it's interesting. My oldest son, he's a high school history teacher right now, and he learned the love of history by playing a game called Rome Total War, where you set up the whole strategy and everything. So it's all pure game, and he aced all his tests. I mean, he just knew all the facts, but had he had to read all the facts, I mean, he's a smart kid, so he might have learned it that way, but this way it was very like burned into Rob, to use an old term. It was really hard coded into his thinking because he had played with it for hours and understood how things interrelated. So I could see the power of the gamification for that. So in terms of that's kind of the user interface side, and certainly the web now is not just like a desktop screen, it's your mobile device. It's now we're moving into the world of like virtual. Obviously that's been around a little bit with the augmented reality and stuff, but do you see that as something, and especially a lot of our audience are involved in manufacturing and other like industrial services? Do you see interfaces going all the way there to where people are going to be in immersive environments to interact with data?
I believe, yes, that's true. I mean, 100% definitely, because we're in the business for a long time, and I see how trends are changing, how market is adapting, and every year people request more and more interactive experiences, more and more immersive things. Yes, like they want to dive deep inside. As you mentioned, the example with your son, they want to play history. They want to be there exactly, and learn out of it. And not just learn, just perform, daily tasks. We have like one interesting client, like they're doing some oil and shipping engineering stuff. I cannot handle all the information, of course,
Of course.
And now they have like a big idea to change their like main application interface and make it more, like cartoonish, I would say, even this way, because sometimes it's too boring, and they want engineers to be also utilize the virtual reality and build not only blueprints, yes, build constructions inside those rigs, like instantly there. So yes.
Wow. So yeah, so I guess that the idea is if you can visualize or simulate something before you have to build it in the real world, it's a lot less expensive once, when you think about it, like you building, I mean, that's why you have blueprints, right? You build a whole design before you actually lay down concrete, because it's very expensive to make adjustments on the 80th floor of a building that wasn't properly designed. So that's really interesting. So Slava, one thing that I am interested in is in the world of software development. So you're right now, you're based in Europe, right? But you serve a global clientele, right? So how do you see the world? Is software development now just a global enterprise? Just it could be anywhere at any time? Is that, I mean, there's been a lot of major outsourcing over the years for like big corporate IT functions, but I'm talking about just the collaboration, the world of software development. How is that? How have you seen that unfold? What do you see coming up in that regard?
Talking about us, like little remark, like we have our headquarters in the United States, and we have research and development office in Europe, and
Okay.
we have a few offices across like the whole Europe, and so it's already global. Yes, I believe there's a cool phrase, a cool world called like digital nomad nowadays. Yes, like if you're in IT, you probably work remotely, and you're able to travel anywhere and work anywhere. Even countries, they adopt special rules, where you can go any country, and there's no need to, there's like a simple process to get a residency and stay for a year or two. So definitely it's global because there are no limits for IT people. We just need a laptop and the internet. That's it.
Okay. Wow. And but now, language is still an issue for the world, right? So like, I know there's computer languages, but in terms of the development community sharing ideas, I'm thinking about like the Reddit boards or whatever, where things are being shared. Is that predominantly in English or not anymore? Or now it's something, a little something for everybody.
To be honest, like in my experience, it's like 99% in English.
Okay.
I simply try to avoid any like resources like in other languages because again, English is like global international language in general. Yes, not only for the IT, but in IT, it's like kind of a standard. So
Well, that's interesting, right? So that is, I mean, even if the programmer isn't necessarily a comfortable English speaker, they would still be working in English as far as sharing ideas and information regarding the projects. I think that's fascinating. So one thing I'd like to just explore a different side of your world, Slava, and your business. I mean, you started a business, so tell us a little bit about your journey starting your practice, and how it was to be an owner and be an entrepreneur.
there's like a good joke. Someone asks like an angel investor, like, how do you sleep? Like you have so many like investments and so on. And he answered, I sleep like a baby. And they say, wow, how it's possible? I mean, there's so many stress in your life. And he answered like, I sleep like 4 hours, I sleep, and 4 hours I cry. So it's basically describes the business idea. Now I try to recommend people, guys, just try to avoid business if you can. Just go and work as like developer, as engineer if it's possible. But I understand like entrepreneurship, it's like kind of there's special people they really want to, and I maybe I'm unlucky, but I always wanted to be this person, to run a company. Basically, like I'm my partner, he's CTO right now in our company. We decide that okay, we don't want to work in other companies. We want to make better, service. We want to make better software, basically, and we decided to start our own company. We found some small contract initially, just somewhere in internet. There are like special websites where you can find a job, like for best freelancer. So we found a contract. It was like a social network for dogs, like Instagram, but for dogs. Imagine like 10 years ago.
Okay, all right.
Actually, yeah, it was cool. Like you can own dogs and you show photos. So we made that project and we realized that, okay, it's happening. We're finished the first contract and we found another one and we hired a few people, and iterationally we started growing, and now it's more than 70 people.
Wow, that's really exciting. And that happened fairly quick. It sounds like, I mean, you moved it along and it started with one project and it was Instagram for dogs. So I love that.
Yeah. It actually was a cool project. I remember a client from Portugal, something like that.
No,
Nice
that's
person.
really good. So one of the challenges with any small business, and you just described it, scaling, right? Managing scaling, which is both a financial challenge and a people challenge. And in your world, the people you need are highly skilled people. I mean, you can't just take anybody and make them, an advanced Unity software developer or something like that. They have to do something. So how have you been able to pull the team in, find the people you need to find, and keep everybody happy enough so that you're not dealing with the chaos of a lot of, there's always going to be some turnover in technology positions because people get a better offer or whatever. But how do you keep it all together?
It's really true that the thing that it's the hardest part in this business, I would say, is to find talents. From the very beginning, we decided like we want to work only with talented people, people who really want to be inside IT, who want to develop software, like enthusiasts, like people really crazy about it. And at the beginning, it was more about maybe hiring friends from the university mostly.
Sure.
When we became like a company of 5 to 10 people, we started searching elsewhere, just job sites, finding people, give an interview. But the thing, we always tried, to make at the beginning, it was more family business until probably 30, 40 people. It was kind of family. And we shared interests. We played games together. We played sport, doing all the activities. Just to retain people. Now we when it's bigger, I don't know all people right now because there are too many for me. But we try to concentrate on on good values like equality. We try to concentrate on growing people because smart people, they want to grow even further. There's no limit for them, and we give them that chance. We have dedicated time so they can study and improve their skills. Actually, if you're not improving, we start it's an issue in our company. It's constant improvement.
Wow. Well, what it's interesting what you just said there. If you want people to get better, you have to give them the opportunity and including the time to get better, right? And that's a good lesson. And that could be true if you're a manufacturer and you have a lot of blue collar workers. If you want to cross train people, you got to give them time to learn the other machines and so on. You can't just be frustrated or run everybody at 110% and no one has a time to grow, because eventually people who want to grow, who are the people you want, go somewhere else where they can get the opportunity. So I think that's really smart that you give them the time in your culture there, right? So that the other point, Slava, that I think is just important for anybody listening who's like a small business owner, because everybody's dealing with this, is culture, right? So you have 70 people, but they're, like you said, digital nomads. So they could be all over the world. And you just described you're based in the US, but you have resources elsewhere. How do you cultivate a sense of a corporate culture that we're part of one team, as opposed to we're just a collection of independent people?
I believe, it's a core idea. Our core idea, our huge strategy is to make the world a better place with help of technologies. And we try to find people, who shares the same principles in their life. The same, another thing is respect to each other, because we are multinational team. There are different people, different I would say color, ethnicals, nations, and different languages, but still we try to find a common thing. We're all humans, and we want to make the world a better place. Yes. Also, we start when we grew up to some point to start building human resources departments and people who can talk to other people. There's always an ability for our employees to share their feedbacks about anonymously, of course. They can share their feedback, and we consider those feedback. And on our all hands meetings, we discuss those feedbacks, and we discuss how we'll improve the situation every time. So it's, for us, it's also a challenge. We need to constantly grow as our people do.
Okay. Well, one thing that I'm really interested, again, given the international nature of your business and the kind of business and things that the whole world has seen change in the last 2-3 years, everybody is now comfortable, or at least understands how to get on Zoom or Teams or some other kind of video conference, right? That's normative now, as normal as a telephone call. In fact, I talk to people that say they actually are more efficient now because they have more visual calls than they used to have physical appointments. But here's my question to you. From a sales and business development point of view, is the in-person interaction necessary anymore, or has this totally taken its place and you can meet people via video, do business with them, and never actually see them in person?
Um, I would say, like virtual method like Zoom or Skype or any other messenger is like, it's more practical, definitely. And we have big clients who we never see in our life, like personally. But I would say in long term, if you have someone long-term business relation, it is always better to, of course, like meet at least a few times. It's about building trust. It's about our biology. But of course, more practical, like the whole company works remotely now and we use video conferences all the time. It's so much more practical. Sometimes boring, because most people, they work from home. It's like pajama problem.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've heard that too. People, for a while, they said, man, I could work from home. Now I've had a home office probably 20 years now, so I've never not had a home office. But I hear this from talking to people, and then but they also start getting, like you said, bored, and they just want to go somewhere. They want to get out of there. Hopefully, like I always say, video calls are great as long as everyone's agreeing to wear pants. Then we're good. So as far as that goes, but that's an interesting change. So you're saying even though your work is like literally manifested digitally, you connect with people digitally, you still see the value in maybe breaking bread with a client some number of times over the life of your relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's less practical, it's more essential, probably more about emotions and just change the environment, because clients are also humans. Yes, they want to also go out of their offices or out of their houses and just meet someone new, exchange stories and drink a beer. Yes, so
no, that's good.
Like once a year we try to gather all our people and create like an offline event, if it's possible, of course, because with coronavirus, it's a little bit more complicated now.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll soon be on the other side of that. I think in many parts of the world we're making a lot of progress there, so we're looking forward to that. Well, Slava, this has been a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much for stopping by. If somebody listening wanted to know more about you, your company, your work, where would you direct them to go to find you and to make contact with you?
I would directly probably to our website, because it's so much easier to find, like visartech.com. Also, I'm a member of like Forbes Tech Council, and I write articles, I write expert panels, answers. So it also, for someone, who wants to get more knowledge and how I think, like how I share the knowledge with the world, it's maybe Forbes Tech Council would be better.
Okay. And that's visartech.com, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, correct. Fantastic. So I just want to make sure people go to the right place. Slava, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate your insights and adding value to our audience here at Business Growth on Purpose.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And if needed, just call me in the future. I have so much to share, and I like to share the information.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Business Growth on Purpose. If you like the show, hit subscribe and leave us a review to help other people find the podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in driving intentional growth for your business, come check out what we're doing at valueprop.com. We've developed industry-leading programs and systems to help B2B owners take control of their growth. Until then, thanks for listening to another episode of Business Growth on Purpose.